A reminder, this Saturday, talkSPORT brings you exclusive radio commentary of Lawrence Okolie against Chris Billam-Smith for the WBO World Cruiserweight title, live from Bournemouth's Vitality Stadium. Our coverage begins at 7 p.m. over on talkSPORT 2 before switching over to talkSPORT at 9 p.m. for the main event. That's exclusive World Championship boxing this Saturday night right here on talkSPORT. Last remaining tickets available at Boxer with 2X's and Boxer.com. Now, WBO Cruiserweight World Champion Lawrence Okolie joined Jim White and Simon Jordan yesterday ahead of that big fight against Chris Billam-Smith, live and exclusive on talkSPORT tomorrow night. He said he's ready to prove all the doubters wrong.
Everything's based on Lawrence being less than. Well, I don't feel less than. I feel in very, very, very good shape. I've done back-to-back camps. I've had 12 rounds more recently than he has. And then, you know, as much as I respect him and respect Shane and all of these lot, it's like you ask yourself, who are these performances against? Do you know what I mean? So I kind of look and say, if you fed me the guy that he boxed in his last fight and got a knockout in, I'd stop him, if not sooner, the same way. So it's just about who, what, where. So I don't really buy too much into it. I'm happy I got those rounds in, and now we go out and we demonstrate.
Join us now for more on this is talkSPORT's very own Spencer the Omen Oliver. Hi Spencer, how are you?
Andy, Darren, how are we both doing?
We're good. You're in Bournemouth at the moment. We can't see you. I don't know if we're going to get that clip on YouTube, but either way, just describe where you are and what you can see, because the weather here in London's beautiful. I'm guessing by the coast it's even better.
Boys, I'm gutted you can't actually see me. I've been down here since Wednesday. The sun is shining. It's beaming down now. We're on the pier here in Bournemouth, and yeah, everything is brilliant. I mean, we've had the open workouts on Wednesday. We had the press conference on Thursday. The weigh-in has just finished here today as well, and yeah, it's brilliant. Both guys, by the way, are super confident of victory here, and yeah, it's going to be a great night, a great fight on Saturday night at the Vitality Stadium. 15,000 seats have all sold out.
Couple questions, Spence. First one is, I can't believe you forgot that you're on with me and Andy.
What do you mean?
I heard you say the joke. Oh, who am I on with?
Oh my days, did he say that? You know why? He's been punched in the head too many times. That's what it is.
Mate, I can't believe you're even saying that. What are you going on about, boys? What is going on here?
Is that what he said?
Yeah, 100%. And the second question, Spence, a lot of people this week have been saying that for the division, I mean, it's a loaded division, that maybe Chris Billam-Smith will be better as champion because he's a bit more exciting. What do you say to that?
Well, listen, I think the people are going off Lawrence Okolie's last performance against David Light. I mean, after 4 or 5 rounds, as you boys know, there were people leaving in their hundreds there. They weren't impressed with that performance. It was a lacklustre performance. It was the first time he's been under the watchful eye of Sugar Hill, and yeah, he didn't perform. He didn't perform to the best of his ability, and you can only go off last performances. I mean, if you look at Chris Billam-Smith and his, where he's been in his last couple of fights, everything's been exciting. It's been explosive, and they've been down here in Bournemouth as well. And I mean, this Bournemouth crowd love their boxing. I mean, we was in a venue that is just a few hundred yards to my right, and it's a 4,000 seater, and it felt like you was sitting in there with 40,000 fans. The crowd really get behind Chris Billam-Smith. They love him. And then on Saturday night, obviously, we're going with 15,000, and the atmosphere is going to be absolutely insane, and that's going to be difficult for Lawrence Okolie, who's going to come into a hostile crowd. And yeah, like I say, Chris Billam-Smith's the more exciting of the two, but Lawrence Okolie just finds a way to win. He's very awkward, and that's the way that he does it. He's making his 4th defence. But here's the flip to all this, that both guys used to be trained by Shane McGuigan. Obviously, Chris Billam-Smith is still trained by Shane McGuigan, but Lawrence Okolie has moved on since then. But Billam-Smith and the team feel like they've got insight into this whole thing with Chris Lawrence Okolie, his strengths, his weaknesses. They know how awkward he is because they've sparred over 300 rounds together, and they feel that gives him the edge. I mean, it's a fascinating fight for a number of reasons, but yeah, it's going to be exciting whatever happens.
Spencer, I've got a couple of questions for you. I can see you now on YouTube. It looks absolutely beautiful there. Although I'm slightly worried you haven't put any sun cream on your forehead. Don't get burnt.
Oh, listen, I'm so glad you mentioned that, mate, because I am getting burnt. I've been sitting in the shade for the last 20 minutes waiting to come and do this interview because I did forget the sun factor, and as you can see, I'm looking nice and red at the moment. But I've got to tell you, mate, that it's got its own little weather radar down here in Bournemouth. Every time I come here, the sun is shining and it's boiling hot. I mean, the beach is absolutely packed at the moment, and yeah, the sun is blaring down. We've got this weather on Saturday night as well, which makes it a brilliant fight.
Just be careful, you look like a lobster. I understand you went on a boat with Harry Redknapp as well, is that right?
I did, mate. Yeah, I've known Harry for many years, and he invited us down to do a little interview with him earlier on for Boxer, and we went on his little yacht that he's got down there, and we caught up, and it was good to catch up with him. And he's a massive boxing fan, as you guys know. He's there on Saturday night. He's coming with Mark. I think Jamie's coming down as well. It's going to be a big night. It really is, and Harry's looking forward to it.
Spence, I think Lawrence is the favourite for this fight, but how does Chris Billam-Smith beat him?
Well, you say that Lawrence is a favourite, but I actually lean towards Chris Billam-Smith. I think he is a bookie's favourite, Lawrence. But how does Chris win? So this is simple, right? So Lawrence Okoli likes to keep things at range. He works everything behind the jab. He likes to, throw that big right hand. He's got dynamite in that shot, and that's why he's 19-0 with 14 KOs, because he does catch his opponents. He is very, very awkward. But Billam-Smith, to his advantage, knows what Lawrence is like because they sparred so much together. And Chris's main game, his main strengths are on the inside. When he gets up close, he works well inside. Lawrence works better on the outside. So I think the key to victory for Chris Billam-Smith is by closing that gap, getting inside and making Lawrence work there. And that's what I feel that he's going to do. I think that because he knows Lawrence, most people that box Lawrence, they all know that he's going to be awkward, but they don't know how awkward he is until they get in the ring with him. Where the advantage for Chris is, he's been in the ring with him, so he knows how awkward he is. He knows what he's got to do to get inside, and he knows what he's got to do when he's there.
Spence, before I let you go, let me ask. Earlier on, we heard the news that Mauricio Lara has been stripped of his, I think, WBA featherweight belt after he was unable to make the weight for his title against his title fight against Leigh Wood. Of course, that means talkSPORT is the only place you can hear a world title fight. What's that all about, though? What happened there?
So basically, he come in overweight. I think he come in 4 pounds overweight. So what happens is when the champion comes in overweight and he can't make the weight, they strip him of the title. But the title will still still vacant for Leigh Wood to win. So if Leigh Wood wins that fight, he then automatically becomes WBA featherweight champion. If Leigh Wood loses, the title becomes vacant, and that's what it is.
Wow.
Yeah, Lara has a history of making weight or struggling to make weight, and unfortunately he hasn't made it. He's got it wrong, and 4 pounds is too much to drop. So the fight will still go ahead, but obviously not for the title on the line unless Leigh Wood wins.
Spence, I mean, why is that acceptable? I mean, it's a world title fight. How can he not make weight? I mean, what's the situation there?
Now, listen, it blows my mind, mate. It really does, because it's not like, I understand it, because I'm a small guy as well, and it's like if they're a pound overweight, a pound and a half, you can understand that they've actually missed it a little bit. 4 pound overweight is just like absolutely ridiculous. I don't know how he's not made the weight. Honestly, it blew my mind when I heard that he'd missed the weight. I thought, fine, he'll have a couple of hours to get it off, because that's what they give you to get it off. But when they told me he come in 4 pound overweight, I was blown away by that, because you think, how can you get it so wrong? Is it under preparation? Have you not been training properly, or have you just outgrown the weight? But whatever the reasons are, it's it's a bit concerning.
Spence, listen, thanks for coming on. A fight by the seaside. When was the last time you went to a big fight by the seaside?
It was actually in December with Chris Billam-Smith. And then the first fight, listen, I've never been to Bournemouth before. The first one, and probably the biggest fight, was when Chris Billam-Smith, back in July, Chris Billam-Smith boxed Isaac Chamberlain. That was fight of the year last year. These guys, they went at it, and it was absolutely incredible. The weather was great. And it was just, it was insane. The weather's great now. The only difference from back in July till now for me is I've forgot my sun cream.
Yeah, you need to cover up. You've got to be careful in the sun, Spence.
Yeah, I'm glad you care for me, Andy. I really am.
Of course I can. I love you. You know that, Spence. Listen, enjoy the fight. Thanks so much for coming on. Keep up the great work.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thanks. There you go. Spencer the Lobster Oliver. Reminder, this Saturday, talkSPORT brings you exclusive radio commentary of Lawrence Okoli against Chris Billam-Smith for the WBO World Cruiserweight title. It's live from Bournemouth's Vitality Stadium. Our coverage kicks off at 7 p.m. over on talkSPORT 2 before switching over to talkSPORT at 9 p.m. for the main event. That's exclusive World Championship boxing this Saturday night right here on talkSPORT.
talkSPORT Drive with Andy Goldstein. Monday to Friday afternoon from 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.